Would have tried to time the press go live button. Anyways. Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Tapcaf Transmissions. I am Corey, joined as always by Justin EckhartsLadder. How are you doing this week, Justin?
I'm just kind of recovering from a pretty bad flu, cold, some serious virus my offspring brought home.
Yep.
The whole family's been in one for about a week. I feel fine now. My voice is a little like that, and I do have a cough. So I'm gonna try. I got a little cough button here on my mixer. So I'm gonna try to get that, but I'm not gonna be able to get all of them.
You're gonna try to do that, but you still intentionally made the throat clearing noise right before to make sure everyone.
Well,
I
had to set a baseline. Yeah, I had to set a baseline.
It just means your voice is more sultry.
It is, yeah, and I'll have some voice cracks for sure.
You got to have just the right amount of sick, and then just the right amount of congestion, and then you have everyone's voice sounds better. Just a little bit sick.
Totally.
You got to try to maintain. Just keep that viral load constant.
Just slight enough to just make me feel a little shitty, but not too bad.
All right, well, this week we're going to be doing a Q&A episode. Relatively short episode. We want to make sure that we don't damage poor X's voice later on. We will be doing a gaming stream. He just coughed into his elbow for the audio listeners. So at that point, Charlie will be able to do a lot of heavy lifting. Yeah,
my mute worked, right?
Didn't hear a thing. I just wanted to make sure the audio listeners weren't left out by that.
Perfect.
Before we get to the questions, though, any big Star Wars news we want to talk about? We got a March 1st release date for The Mandalorian, so that's good.
Yeah, March is going to be crazy. We got Mando, Jedi Fallen Order, and Bad Batch running, so it's going to be super, super busy.
Do we know how many episodes of Bad Batch there actually are? I assume it's going to run into March, but
I guess we don't technically.
Because that it should be over 8 or 10 episodes, and that'd be what it takes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm guessing it'll be 16 or 20.
Yeah, because the first season was pretty long, and even if they double or triple up the premiere again, then it should still go into March.
Yeah, so Bad Batch season 1, how many? It was
16, wasn't it?
16, yeah, that sounds right. 16. So hopefully we see kind of something similar, and I suspect we will.
Yeah, so the other big news is that we will not be able to do an episode next week. I will be on a train unless something big comes up and we decide to do a different night. But that would be crazy. That's never happened before.
Yeah,
actually, that has happened before.
The other big news is, this one's kind of disappointing actually. We got the Essential Legends Collection Wave 7 announced.
Yep.
And apparently it's Old Republic, Fatal Alliance, Outbound Flight, Republic Commando, and Survivor's Quest. No new audiobooks for these ones, which kind of sucks.
I don't think Wave 6 had one either.
No, it didn't. I didn't realize at the time. But that kind of sucks because we don't have a proper Outbound Flight audiobook, and I would love for one because it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I've got a big Outbound Flight video coming out, so people can listen to that as an audiobook, and it'll be... Most people won't like the video. So.
For personal news, it is December 1st when we're recording this, so it's day 1 of my beer advent calendar.
Nice.
Today's is Church Brewing, which is it's called that because the brewery is in an old church. They have a beautiful a beautiful dining room in there, but it's just a regular blonde, 5%. So there's some weird ones usually in these. Like I found out I do like stouts through these because I do these, or my wife gets me these every year. So I'm going to crack that open now and hold on right next to the mic.
Did you finish the last one?
No,
recently?
I still have a couple left.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there's always like a couple that are like kind of out there. Like there was one that was like a jalapeno beer that didn't really do it for me.
Yeah, that sounds a little questionable. My friend's doing that as well, but he did a bespoke beer advent calendar. So
I don't know if I really like the idea of that as much, but
well, it's really expensive if you want the actual ones, and he also didn't want alcoholic beer the whole time. He did non-alcoholic beer for 4 days of the week. So Friday, Saturday at least is real. Sunday might be. and then it's non-alcoholic for the rest of the week. I would never drink non-alcoholic beer, but I also wouldn't drink alcoholic beer, so maybe that's just me.
There was one time, hey, you had a couple beer when you were here. But
Yeah, I'd won.
there was one time me and my buddy David were out drinking. I might have told this story before. I don't think so. And we got cut off. I don't know. I think they just were closing early at the bar we were at. 'Cause we were at this really tiny little bar, and we were the only two people there. So they closed at like 12 and or maybe 11 even. We wanted to keep drinking. So in Nova Scotia, they only sell beer in liquor stores. So we just really wanted to keep going though. So we went inside the Sobeys and we bought a case of non-alcoholic beer. Well, like we're drunk enough. If we crush 6 of them, it might do something. And we grabbed that and we grabbed each a big Dagwood sandwich. And we were sitting on this playground and just I crushed one non-alcoholic beer. And it was just awful. So just terrible drunken idea. And then I climbed up on like a power box and sliced my hand open. So not a great night.
So think of how bad it would have been if you had been drinking actual alcoholic beer.
Well, I think I would have been fine because I only climbed up there because I was bored.
Okay. So you're endorsing drinking as a public health benefit right now on the podcast.
That's why they left the liquor store open during the pandemic. Yep.
Yeah, well, can't argue with that.
Nope.
So, question-wise, we have a fair few number of emails to get through for it. There are a couple people who submitted multiple questions over the last little while. I'm going to try to pick one question from each person. We'll go through those, see how we're doing for time, then maybe take some chat questions, or double back through the emails for secondary questions from people. But we'll see how it goes. I did edit down some of the questions a little bit just for length, so we'd get the
Sure.
gist. But because my voice I can only read so many scripts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so let's open it up alphabetically with Andrew, who asks, I've noticed recently how many different alternatives there are to the word fuck throughout the EU. We have frick, criff, frack, and a couple others I can't think of. It's too many, and I can't take a single one of them seriously. What do you think?
Well, I'm sure you heard about the big controversy. Originally, they were going to have Marva say "fuck the empire," which I wouldn't have been a fan of. I don't think it would have worked as well, and it would have been distracting from the moment. So, yeah, I mean, there's lots of fun swears. Emperor's Black Bones, I think, is one we've talked about before.
Yeah. I do want to say, as much as I think that might have detracted from what Marva was saying, if she had said Criff, Frick, or Frack, or Emperor's Black Bones in there, I also would have found that to detract from it. So
yeah,
I'm not necessarily opposed to there being real world swears in Star Wars. I just don't think it's gonna happen very often. Like we got a shit. And urine was made canon, but
yeah, and sex.
Yeah, that was questionable before.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. For me, I'm not somebody who cares about swearing around my kids. Like, I don't actively swear. I mean, I do sometimes. I try not to actively swear very much around my kids. That slips out. But like, for me, fuck being in Star Wars, I wouldn't care. But I mean, that would be kind of, some kids wouldn't be able to watch it anymore. So I mean, that would kind of suck.
Yeah.
But I mean, if a stormtrooper gets bricked in the face, like, I don't know. I never really got the whole swearing kind of issue, but I guess that's how some parents are.
I did see a couple what I would call overreactions talking about how the fact that they wanted to have the swear in there at all meant that they were children and they're glad that someone stepped in. It's like, come on. It's a bit of an overreaction.
Yeah, people are stupid. Twitter take. Classic Twitter take.
All right, well, thank you, Andrew. He did also mention the use of bug slut in Legacy, but I don't remember that. I haven't done a proper read through of Legacy, so
yeah,
I can't speak to the veracity of that. I might have just been baited. I don't know.
I think you were baited. I don't really remember that.
All right, from Christopher. Christopher asks, With how wildly out of chronological order the Bantam books were published, which characters or plot lines do you feel suffered because of the lack of planning and timeline crisscrossing?
Um,
He gives the example of some New Jedi Order Jedi, Mara not being in the Young Jedi Knights books, that kind of thing.
yeah. Um, I kind of think for me the thing that's it's kind of close to what you said would be just the development of Luke's Jedi Order as a whole. I think could have used a bit more time. Like the opening class all should have been main Jedi, I think, and obviously most of them weren't. Some of them were picked up later, like Dorsk 81.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me that's kind of one that I see as maybe suffering the most.
Yeah, Karana T, I think, never comes up again, except for like maybe one or two background scenes. Streen sometimes get to do stuff. But yeah, like that, the characters from Jedi Academy, other than like, or yeah, the Jedi Academy trilogy, other than like Kip,
Mm.
get very sidelined because people
Yeah.
like Mara and Corrin come in. But
Ugh.
I think like a big element of that really is the authors wanting to use their own characters, though.
Totally. Yeah.
So I don't know if everything being published in order would have done a huge amount to change that, because
Probably
like you
not.
still ended up with the same situation with the Mara versus Callista situation and all that. It
Yeah. No,
definitely it
I
definitely
agree.
didn't help.
Agreed.
Well, thank you, Christopher. Anything else that once they got to the NJO, everything started being more in chronological
Yeah.
order. So it's really just those warlord side stories, which I think a lot of the Imperial related stuff actually was handled fine with the timeline being what it was. But I think the Jedi really do suffer the most.
Yeah. I mean, there are times when, like, I guess one thing that I think of is X-wing came out so late that it would have been nice for Rogue Squadron to be like all the characters we know to be mentioned by name earlier on, like in the
Yeah.
Thrawn trilogy, for example. That's kind of one I can think of, and just some of the video game characters, I guess, would have been nice to see more of, like Kyle Katarn.
Mhm.
He doesn't really appear in anything, and it would have been cool to have him kind of a bit more prominent, I think.
Yeah, he does come up a little bit in Legacy, but him not being in the NJO at all is definitely a weird
Yeah,
one.
or even earlier, really.
I
But
kind
I
of
guess he doesn't show up that much. Yeah,
I kind of feel like Kyle and Corrin fill too much of the same role.
that's fair.
They need to combine them in new canon, but that we already got Cal and Corrin, so who knows?
Yeah.
So thank you, Christopher. Next question is from Joel, who asks, first revealed in Star Wars Bloodlines, we were given the information that the Centrist Party, the New Republic, was planning a secession. That was around 5 years before The Force Awakens. Do you think there's a story to be told during this Cold War period where the New Republic and First Order share a border that would intrigue Star Wars fans who may be done with the sequel era?
So the New Republic and the First Order share a border before. He's asking, would that have been interesting if they shared a border before the war actually broke out?
In the period where the Centrists of the New Republic were planning a secession, and where the First Order exists, but they're in the Cold War period with the New Republic, not actually at war.
Yeah. So from what I remember from Bloodline, the First Order is a lot more secretive than that. Like, they're not really treated like a full proper like rogue faction. From what I remember, like I don't think there's like First Order representatives like arguing with the New Republic or anything. I think they're pretty much stuck in the unknown regions, and the Centrist Party is more just kind of secretly funneling resources towards them. Now that's based on my memory. I don't know if there's enough there for an interesting series personally. Um, yeah, I don't even really know how I feel about the whole centrists, and I forget. I think the populace, maybe. Can't remember what they call Leia's party. Um, but yeah, it was an interesting bit of political writing, but I don't know if there's enough there for a series.
I do think like more going in on Leia uh, forming the Resistance could fit into that vein and is interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest opportunity for another good story. Like I really like Brotherhood of the Sith as well, and I think other stories that are kind of like that, focusing on some of those characters in the lead up to the sequel trilogy, could definitely be good.
Hmm.
I think we both enjoyed Brotherhood of the Sith pretty well.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's all right.
But thank you, Joel. Next question. I haven't read Bloodlines yet, so I don't have that much to to add yet.
Hmm.
We'll definitely get there at some point, but I think maybe.
Yeah, we will at some point.
Next question comes from Jacob, who says, "Do you guys feel at some point Disney are going to reboot or decanonize the new canon novels
No.
as well?" And
Oh,
Joel
novels.
asked that as well. So
Still no.
yeah,
Probably not.
Jacob gave the examples of stuff in Tales of the Jedi, retconning the Ahsoka novel and the Dooku Jedi Lost stuff. But I think the Dooku Jedi Lost stuff is still a lot more consistent with it than some of the changes in the Ahsoka novel. And I think uh, for some reason, like, we've always, if any Legends fan is probably used to individual details getting overwritten a lot more, whereas even if they impact like large sections of someone's life, there was a lot more of being able to say, okay, well, this detail changed, this detail doesn't line up with other stuff, but like the story's still the story's still there. Where I feel like there's been a lot more overreaction to some of the retcons in new canon, where if a detail from something changes, then people are like immediately saying, "Oh, well, this was just tossed in the trash bin," and never buy a copy of that, never read it. Uh, and I don't think that's the most appropriate reaction to it. But I also don't think they're itching to. I don't think they're going to really reboot the novels in that way. Like with the Legends reset, it was because you had the entire body of work as one thing that already existed, and trying to tell movies, stories, books, whatever, or movies or TV shows in that area, working around them at all would have been very difficult. Whereas now, unless they got rid of the shows as well, I don't think they're going to do like a full reboot in that way. There may be greater or lesser extents that details from books get overwritten, but we've kind of talked about that before uh, with the Tales of the Jedi stuff, I think.
Yeah, I think if they don't want something to exist, they'll just kind of overwrite it, and then who cares? Like the book readers are such a small portion of the audience that, like, if they want to just ignore something, they'll do what they did with in Tales of the Jedi and kind of just ignore it. I think rather than
Yeah.
fully decanonize everything.
Yeah, it's not going to be the same. Everything's tied together and you just reset. Like,
Mhm.
eventually, we'd probably see another actual reboot, but I don't think that's coming anytime soon. Nothing goes on forever in fiction.
Yeah.
And like there's other properties like Lord of the Rings where there's not really an expectation that like Peter Jackson's movies aren't in the same canon as the Rings of Power season either.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it it happens.
Yeah.
It'd be really weird if they do that and then it turns out the Visions is the new continuity. Everything's just based on Visions now.
That'd be sick. But only the band episode. Just that one.
Thank you, Jacob. Next question comes from Matrix, and I think other Joel asked that as well. So we had a few people asking that one. So Matrix says, this one is about Andor. Personally, my biggest issue with the show is I feel like it steers away from Andor himself later on in the episodes. While I enjoy every episode and every content with Mon Mothma, I feel the show does almost clickbait you in a way, going back to the point Eck made on Twitter about the title. What do you think?
Um, I think you're kind of right and wrong in a way. Like, Andor is ultimately the reason why everyone's doing what they're doing. Now,
Yeah.
to be true, it's only because they think Andor can lead to somebody else, but he's still the one that's kind of causing all the chaos. But you're right that the other characters are, taking more of a prominent role episode to episode. I personally think that's okay. I think that they're more interesting most of the time. So yeah, agree and disagree, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever like so non-present that that it's an inappropriate title. Like you can have some Seinfeld episodes where George and Costanza, or not George and Costanza, George and Kramer get the A plot and Jerry's in the B plot with Elaine maybe somewhere. But I
Mhm.
don't think that really means that the show shouldn't be called Seinfeld for that one. Like it's pretty standard to not have every moment of every show focus on the title character. So like I don't think there was really any episode where he had significantly less than half of the airtime. Maybe the first prison episode where he was kind of like still in the prison zone, but he
Yeah.
is still the driving factor for almost everything that's happening on the show. The least he's connected to anything would be Mon Mothma, where they don't have a direct connection, but
Hmm.
there's his actions are still informing what's happening in her storylines, and she's still interacting with Luthen a lot. In the last episode, her stuff is mostly setting up for her own plots in season 2. But I think the idea that like it's called Andor, and Andor is kind of a our way to view the rebellion. We're seeing it all through him. Like I think that still
Hmm.
makes sense with that. I think your point about the show name being inappropriate was more about the appeal than the
Yeah.
content matter or subject
Yep.
matter.
Yep.
Thank you, Matrix. Next question is from Adam, who says, now that I'm caught up on Andor, I wanted to ask something. If we get another trilogy, do you think we could see the director pulling the ultimate funny moment by forcing Cook Rook back into canon?
No, because I don't think any director who is chosen to make a Star Wars movie will know or give a shit about who Cook Rook is.
Yeah, I think even if they did, even if Dave Filoni was the biggest, like if Plo Koon was Cook Rook instead, I think Cook Rook is just probably the hardest character to do in usable practical effects.
Yep.
People would be so disappointed by the changes to his mouth shape. They'd have to angle the hat so often to cover it, which I think is valid. But unfortunately, I do have to say, the Crook is probably out from live action Star Wars,
Yeah.
which is not very whipped.
I mean, you could have another Whippet in the background somewhere, but
Not doing anything.
yeah.
Thank you, Adam. Paul asks about Han and Leia's parenting, saying, you'll have a cool, well-established, and competent character, but when said character becomes a parent, for some reason they're either negligent or overprotective of the kids, and usually end up going totally out of character. My question is, why were Leia and Han written so terribly as parents in the Legends and also canon continuities, despite having so many different authors write them across years and years worth of books?
Because it's not very interesting to tell a story about responsible parenting.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I'm being a responsible parent, it's like I'm going to put my kid in the car seat and not do anything dangerous with them. Like I don't really want to read a book about that. Responsible parenting for Han and Leia would be, let's probably not keep the kids on Coruscant. Let's not let them get kidnapped, and let's not go on any adventures.
Yeah, if you want Han and Leia to actually do any of the things that make them Han and Leia, they have to be out in the galaxy fighting stuff, which leads to the trauma that Ben, Jason, Jaina, and Anakin had from being neglected or having other stuff prioritized over them. So it's just Han and Leia are just bad parents. It's obvious to everyone who writes them. It's obvious to everyone who reads it. There's no way to get away from it.
Yep.
Maybe maybe if Anakin had lived, he would have turned out normal. But he was struggling. He needed
It wasn't really looking great.
Yeah, he needed some more support than he was getting. It took Mara coming in. Mara is the one that gets like sidelined the most when she becomes a parent.
Yeah.
Partially because of the coom spores, which is also how you become pregnant. But
that's true.
Oh well. All right. Next question. Our last email question, unless we go back through for the secondary ones, from Joel, who has a couple. Let's go with, I think he sent this one or some variant of this one in twice. So, you subscribe to the idea that the Empire fell so quickly in canon because of a combination of popular uprisings happening all over the galaxy post death of Palpatine, combined with Operation Cinder plans, makes the premise of the Empire falling in 1 year make a lot more sense. I've seen people talk about the popular uprisings of the fall of the Empire since the Andor series has emphasized local communities rising up against the Empire. So do you think that helps the Operation Cinder narrative?
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too, actually. Since Andor, like that could be used to help explain how so many planets, the Empire was ousted from without the New Republic having a significantly larger military already. So yeah, I think that could be a good explanation, and it kind of matches a bit with what we see in Return of the Jedi, especially some of the extra scenes where we see the people toppling the statue on Coruscant. So I think that could be a good explanation. Yeah.
I mean, when the strength of the Empire is that it's so forcibly centralized, like a quick collapse makes sense. It is such a large area that it did take a lot for the rebels to get everywhere. But if it's all just dividing into more local control, some places that join the rebels, some that are just like little imperial satrapies, like we see in Alphabet Squadron, like it's hard to keep a centralized, like such a centralized faction that is so based around an individual person alive when that person is gone and has done everything they can to make sure they're necessary for it to continue. So I do think it helps add more to that narrative.
My bigger problem is still, where did all the ships go? But whatever. All the ships kind of just disappear.
Some go into private hands.
Yeah.
Some go into the unknown regions. Some just park somewhere and then couldn't remember whether they're either in the itchy scratch or the scratchy lot, whatever. Itchy
but like
scratch?
in Aftermath, like there's one part where what's her name again? Admiral Sloane is going through like the order of record or whatever, and there's one Super Star Destroyer left. All the others are gone. There's one left. So that for me was like, okay,
That
like
they know of.
That they know of.
What about Eclipse?
The Eclipse. Well, there is a ship called the Eclipse. That's Palpatine's Super Star Destroyer, which is really annoying because it's called the Eclipse, and then it wasn't actually. We didn't know whether it was just a ship called the Eclipse or the Eclipse.
Wasn't it explicitly an executor? I don't remember.
It was made explicitly an executor later on, I believe. Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was maybe like a quasi canon source, like a trading card game or something that may have made it canon. So
someday,
obviously,
like anything that FFG puts in, obviously, like Pablo Hidalgo has to make sure that Tony Gilroy reads every inch of that book and then puts it into Andor season 2.
Yep,
it's necessary.
Of course, it is.
We did have a fun question near the start from CanPiv. If we're jumping into some of the chat questions now, who asks, "What's your co-host's worst Star Wars opinion?"
Oh, you can go with mine first if you want.
Look, the ATPT isn't that bad, and the Nebula isn't that good.
Okay, fair enough. It's Corey's worst opinion.
I can probably think of a better one, but
I don't think this is just. I don't agree that Rogue One's the best Star Wars movie. But I mean, even there, I can see where you're coming from.
Look, I've seen. If we want to go with mine, I've seen a lot of people on Reddit talking about my Jason Solo opinions. So once we get to that point, I will have a lot more explanation of why I like the storyline, even if I don't think it all works.
I don't think that the Recusant is the most beautiful ship aesthetically, like you do. So
I think it's the second. It's my second favorite ship.
Oh, really? I thought it was your favorite. What's it behind?
It's behind the Starhawk.
Okay.
It's not just that they look cool. It's that they look cool and they are cool. It's got a je ne sais quoi.
So, do you like the fact that there's regular sized ones and then really big ones? Like
no,
I
I really hate that.
Okay.
I fucking hate. I hate that part of the Clone Wars. The Dreadnought Providence and the Dreadnought Recusant.
I can't even remember any Dreadnought Providences we see.
It's Invincible is one. Like it's just scaled so weirdly, and then Essential Guide to Warfare like canonizes the fact that they're different.
Right.
The Trench's ship is that.
Yeah, I mean that one's clear because there's a scene where it's next to because he boards a Venator and it's like significantly larger. What about one thing I do like about the Recusant is there is the you can see in certain things there's like a cargo variant. It's just like you can kind of see where the ship came from, which I think is cool.
In the like where it has the hangers in the middle?
No, there's like you can see it in the this is a really funny weird source. The what's it called? What's the simulator ride called again? Star Tours, the Star Tours Battle
Yeah.
of Coruscant.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about now.
And you can see it in other places as well. Like I think maybe Rise of the Resistance has it, and there's a couple other places as well. I don't know why my webcam's so fuzzy. There we go.
Yeah, we still haven't mined that that video for some ship variant for Fall of the Republic, but we have to get there eventually.
Yeah.
Chara asks, with recent media, Saw Gerrera has been given a lot more giving a lot more critique on the Republic, which doesn't seem explored much by others. Would you like more media about the reasons the Republic fell?
Sure. Yeah, I think that could be good. I mean, I don't need more explicit reasons, but I'd like I'd like to see something said in the late Clone Wars period that looks at like just how the government was failing people, like maybe how the court system's completely like maybe one interesting story could be like, oh, there are these senators who realize Palpatine is full of shit, and they put together a proper legal case and submit it to like we know there's like a Republic Supreme Court, and then I'd like to see the Supreme Court just tell them to basically fuck off because like shit's not working anymore.
The last
I think
line of
that
the
could be
book is just
interesting.
no, and then there's 20 blank pages that you expect are
Yeah.
going to be this story.
Exactly. I think that could be interesting.
All right, this is why Eck is not in Star Wars publishing. He wants the Star Wars legal brief.
Yeah.
No, I think that would actually be cool. I don't know about the mass appeal, but we both like it. We both read it day one.
Yep. I do think it'd be a kind of an interesting story where like, okay, these people really have something against Palpatine. Like they figured something out, and then like the media doesn't care, Supreme Court doesn't care, the Senate doesn't care. It's like everything is just broken.
You get a little bit of that in like Labyrinth of Evil, but I think that's actually I might actually be thinking of the other book that's about them doing that to Chancellor Valium. Valerie. Because they track down his financials and everything, and that's like a big plot of the book. That's how all the election stuff happens.
Yep.
But our next question comes from Michael, who asks, what do you think are the most non-essential books in the Essential Legends collection of novels, including the upcoming wave? I might need to pull up a list.
Republic Commando, probably. I don't think they add a whole lot unless you're really into Mandalorians and I guess Republic Commandos.
You're just trying to say whatever you can to get people mad at us, aren't you?
I mean, something like Shatterpoint, but I mean, like, it depends on your definition of essential. Like, does essential mean that it's essential to the overall story, or so good it's like considered a must read?
I think the latter is the way I'd say. Like, if you're giving a list of Legends books to people that they need to read, either because they're so important they can't be ignored, or they're really good, or ideally some combination of the two.
Yeah.
What do you?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I was most surprised by Dawn of the Jedi. I think that's the one that surprised me the most.
It's just such a unique book. I think it kind of earns its place.
That and Death Troopers, which I think that also fits in
probably up there. Yeah. Yeah. I'd probably say Republic Commando, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I can see Republic. I don't think Republic Commando being in there is weird. I don't like it as much as other people do, but I know it's popular enough that it's.
Yeah.
Those will be interesting when we get to them because I feel like that's going to be
another Bane situation.
Yeah, another Bane situation. Or wasn't there a game that we both really didn't like that everyone likes, or is that just me thinking about Battlefront 2?
You might be thinking of Republic Commando.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Never mind. It's gonna be itself again, so it tracks.
Yep. I'll take a break between questions. I'll give you a second to get some more. We did get some reviews, including a negative one. But we also got a couple of good ones. This one was from Hot Picks Gamers Sucks. I like it. Number one incel bashing podcast on the HoloNet. Every week I listen, and every week I clench my sweaty fists in rage and beat my body pillow until I'm doubled over, my greasy chest heaving like an out-of-breath elephant. Yeah, it's pretty good, I guess. 5 out of 5.
Oh, I thought that was the negative one.
No. The negative one's actually negative.
Okay. We do that one next and then get more praise after, or is that the last one?
Sure. This one is from Spen OG. It's actually not negative towards you, so you'll like it.
Oh, sick. This is the best.
Corey seems really cool. He knows his Star Wars. He is very even-keeled and fair in his reviews. Unfortunately, he lets himself get bullied over by Eck, who obviously loves Star Wars so much none of the novels are ever good enough. Even his most positive reviews have 50% negative feedback. I've listened for years at this point, but not because it's quality. It's great for a laugh on the way home from work on bad days. Small doses and a sense of humor about space wizards is a much to survive an entire episode. 2 out of 5. That really hurts us. Thank you for the review, I guess, but fuck off. What are you even talking about?
I do like you bullying me.
I'm not going to say thank you for that. You years of content, you give us a 2 out of 5? You can suck my fucking ass.
It does honestly have a little bit of the negative
Prepare yourself for my fucking hoop. Send me $20 then, dickhead. Fuck. What do you want? What do you want? Corey and I rate everything the exact fucking same. It's because I bully him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think it's never like we're sitting here calling everything like complete shit or anything. It's just usually for people, not like a conscious attempt for us to appeal to people, but like if you're talking about something, you're more likely to mention the things that stood out to you as being weird.
What a surprise. The tie-in novels to a series made to sell toys aren't always fucking 10 out of 10s.
Well,
I'm shocked. Fuck's sakes.
We did get a question that kind of ties into that.
Let me finish these reviews first.
Okay, fine.
I just want to be done with them. I'm in such a bad mood now. Hank America. This one was good. 5 out of 5. Fishman and Hot Spy fanfic. Don't bother even looking for other Star Wars podcasts. They don't exist. That's right. This one was called Pog. It's by Everything's Taken Sad. Eck and Corey cool because legends are Pog. Also, Eck literally introduced me to EU, so cool. Also, no one talks about how Corey and his team carry Empire at War on their backs. 5 out of 5. So that does put a bit of a smile on my face. But
don't listen to the mean man. Send in negative reviews if you don't like the podcast. Just be nice in them.
But you got to stop listening. If you give us under 4 out of 5, you don't get to listen anymore.
We should open up the podcast with recommendations for other podcasts we like for anyone who doesn't actually want to listen to us, but has felt some sort of Stockholm syndrome, like they can't escape.
Yeah, only Star Wars podcast. What can I say? Fucking dickhead. All right, go ahead and read the comment. I'm so heated right now.
All right,
they've only given me 6,000 hours of free entertainment. We've never done a single fucking ad read on this podcast. It's not like you got to sit through an Audible sponsorship. Like, I'm not trying to sell you fucking dick pills or whatever to make you listen to this. If you don't like it, don't watch. Sorry.
But that does bring me to today's sponsor.
We don't have one.
If you would like to be able to be called a Lord of Alderaan, you can just pay us, and then there will be a pebble floating in space that is registered to your name. And no one will know. No one will know any better. You'll be able to just say, yeah, I was the King of Alderaan. They're not going to look up records. They're all destroyed. Easy money for us.
Man, those guys reached out to me so many times.
The Lords of Alderaan?
Yeah.
I feel left out because like all this Twitter drama, and they've never even contacted me. After February of this year, no one wanted a sponsorship on my channel. Except for fucking crypto
I think that shit's so overblown. Like, I don't know. Maybe not, but like every time I got the ad read, and I never did one because I thought it was stupid. It says it's a gag gift. Like, and you got to say that. I mean, maybe some people didn't know, but I don't know.
I've heard a lot of the ads, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone say it was a gag gift.
Fair enough.
Know. I don't know if that's in the. Anyways, any other questions we want to get to here? How's your? You sound like you're dying. How's your voice?
I'm fine.
You're good.
I'm fine.
Still
Yeah.
do a few more.
Yeah.
But yeah, the question that I was going to tie into what we were talking about before with the negative review is it was something about the best opinion we had on the worst Star Wars book. So which generally seen as terrible Star Wars book did we like the most? Kind of the reverse of our
Crystal
Republic
Star.
Commando situation. Yeah, I think Crystal Star is the
Crystal Star. Yep.
Do we have? I want to see if I can open the Tapcaf tier list here. Or I think it's called book tier list, so I always fuck up when I'm trying to find it. So it doesn't load if I type in Tapcaf. But it's
really?
horrible. Yeah, like I think we both were much higher on Crystal Star than we expected. Like we gave it a 3, which isn't like the best score ever, but it's nice mediocre.
It's called
book.
The worst Star Wars book ever. Yeah. So,
yeah. Whereas Planet of Twilight is, we both gave that a 1.
Yeah.
What did we actually give 1s? Planet of Twilight, we both gave a 1, so an F.
Deserved.
Yeah. And that's the only book that we have both given an F.
Mm.
You gave Children of the Jedi an F. I gave it a D.
Okay.
And I gave Champions of the Force an F. You gave that a D.
Yeah, Champions of the Force is bad.
Is there anywhere else that... Now I'm kind of interested in if there's anything that we gave 6s that didn't match. No. That's weird.
That is a little weird.
Not that weird. I think you talked me up a little bit on some of the Thrawn trilogy books.
Yeah, I think so.
But I don't know that I talked you up or down. I think I might have talked you up a bit on Alphabet Squadron, on at least one of them. So maybe we'll see with any of the revisions.
Yeah.
But... All right. Any questions from the chat here? I'm not going to go back and read through again. That was lame. So get them in chat now. I'll go and look at the email questions for some double ups. Joel asked about Andor. What do you think the legacy of this show is going to be, and will it affect how they make the Star Wars series moving forward? How do you think it will or won't change current ongoing projects happening at the moment?
I think it kind of depends on whether it gets awards, honestly. If it gets some award buzz, I think it could maybe change some things, but otherwise I don't really know.
Yeah, I think it'll age really well. I don't think anyone's going to... I don't think any of the ongoing projects are going to change because of it. I don't think there's many situations in which that happens. But I do hope that they're not like turned off of this kind of project. We obviously can't say like it'll make them do this kind of project because they had to do this kind of project first to get here. So I think there's been some kind of unfair takes about like, well, now they'll do this kind of thing. Like they already did this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
I agree. Also, I wanted to note one thing we forgot to talk about at the beginning of the book, or beginning of the show, is there's a new Star Wars book announced. It's called Battle Scars, and it's a tie into the Jedi series.
Yeah, that was announced a couple months ago. The title or the cover came out, but the cover looks good. But we've known about that since at least. I
knew there was a tie, and I didn't know we knew the name though.
Yeah, because it's Battle Scars, and it is written by Sam Maggs, I think.
Cool.
She does some of the Critical Role comics and books as well. So I've enjoyed her writing so far. Aside from all the online fucking rage bait about her being a writer on KOTOR, which was incredibly annoying to see.
Yeah.
But anything that was put in? What Star Wars Christmas ornaments have family bought you? I have got none.
I've got some on this tree. I think I got some on this tree, and I got some upstairs. I got this little wooden Millennium Falcon. I got a First Order Executioner down there.
You said you do have some upstairs on the other.
Yeah, the big tree. We kind of split them half down here, half up there. Oh my god, this thing is fucked. Look at this thing. I don't know. It looks like my fucking.
That's from Toy Story.
Yeah, I know. It looks like my son made it when he was like 2, but I think we bought this from somebody. Looks like shit.
It looks like it's been chewed.
It may have been chewed. Yeah, Murphy might have gotten at it.
Did Charlie ever finish playing Fallen Order? No. I'm not convinced he ever finished installing Fallen Order.
Yeah, I'm not convinced he even started installing it.
Like my Christmas ornaments, I have some at my dad's place, which maybe I have a Star Wars one in there. But other than that, I have like 2 my aunt sent me, and then last weekend Dana and I went to this like super Christmassy store called Tinseltown in Ottawa. That was like the most crowded thing I've ever seen. It's tiny, but there's so much. It's so much Christmas per square foot. And I got myself a Coke bottle, a
Coke bottle ornament, you mean?
yes. There's a mug, a chocolate, hot chocolate mug with 2 little marshmallows sitting on top of it, and then something
That's Star
else.
Wars related.
That's true. Never thought about that when I was.
Murphy just pulled my headphones out. Fucking dickhead.
Yeah. I think Murphy made his first sounds on the podcast there when
He didn't make a little squeak. He didn't want to come up.
Yeah. Campiv says, I really found my interest in history has made me more interested in Star Wars lore because of the vast history in it. Are you guys interested in history, and did that affect your Star Wars appeal?
I'm not really, but I know you are, so I'll let you talk.
Yeah, that is why I like Star Wars originally, and then like over time it's become a thing because of work where I've had to read so much Star Wars to learn Star Wars history, and I haven't been able to do as much keeping up on stuff that I was reading about in like actual history before. That's most of why I started my history channel, so I could get back into that. But it all ties in for me.
Mm-hmm.
If there was ODST K Champ asks, if there was one major threat you guys would want to see in movies or shows from Legends, what would it be? I would love to see the Nal Nal or the Vong eventually.
That's a good question.
The one we have the highest chance of seeing, if enemy would include just like individual characters, is Darth Talon.
If George Lucas ever gets a chance.
He sends Dave Filoni an email every day. Are you in a project yet?
Get her in, Dave. For fuck's sakes, I trained you for this. Maybe like Warlord Zinj or something. I think Luke dealing with being an incel would be an interesting major threat.
What would define Warlord Zinj as a character that makes him worth bringing in that isn't just like kind of weird cartoonish Thrawn?
He fat?
Yeah, so no. I don't think that's going to be enough to justify the character being added.
He mustache?
He mustache?
Yeah.
That's... Get him in there. Get him in the movies.
Okay.
Maybe something Shadow Academy-y would be interesting.
That could be cool. Yeah, I'd like that.
That's going to be where I put my money.
Okay. I'm down.
Let's see. How many girlfriends does sequel trilogy Luke pull? I mean, there's the porgs everywhere.
Was he fucking them porgs?
There's no way he wasn't.
What movie is that where he goes, you gonna fuck them chickens? You gonna fuck
I think that was
them?
Empire Strikes Back.
No. Oh, the Devil's Rejects. He goes to buy some chickens, and the guy's like, you trying to fuck these chickens? The guy's like, did you just ask me if I'm gonna fuck these chickens? Goes, you cut the head off, and they get all bloody, and they start squirming around a bit. Yeah.
Is Canon Luke a virgin? Okay, I'm going to just say that when Luke said he was going to go into Tashi Station for some power converters, he wasn't talking about anything electrical.
He's going to convert the power of love into baby juice.
I feel like we might have hit the bottom of our questions here. Are we going to see the Gorman Massacre in Andor season 2? I think it's going to
Ooh,
be. I don't know if it's going to be like physically seen. I think it's going to be like mentioned as happening. There's no way it's not.
yeah, I think there's going to be my guess is that there's going to be a Mod Mothma arc that ties into her Star Wars Rebels arc, where I think it's called Secret Cargo or
Yeah.
Precious Cargo
She
or something.
does the speech.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see kind of that up to her leaving. I think it's possible that's even our first big cameo in the show. I think we could possibly get the Ghost Crew.
Yeah, I think it's not impossible that we get some of the Ghost Crew in live action. Hera
Yes.
is the most likely. Like we're definitely getting them in live action for that. Okay, we're getting them in Ahsoka. Pretty much
Yes.
all of them guaranteed. That's where I get kind of unsure on it because you need to cast two people that are within about 10 years of age. Unless they can use the same person for some of them, which makes more sense with Hera.
They're
than
definitely
anyone
using the
else.
same person.
Yeah, like I don't think you can do like Sabine and Ezra because they're basically what teenagers in Rebels at that point, and then you also have to have them as adults.
I think I think they would just do it, to be honest.
I don't think Andor would do that.
Maybe not.
I feel like
How
other
would you
Star Wars shows would. I wouldn't think Andor would.
So I know he's not in the good side yet, but how would you feel if for Callus they just use David Oyelowo? Like he's just black now. I think it'd be great because I can't imagine anyone else doing the voice. But can you imagine how those people would act?
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd be perfectly happy with that. We'll just get everyone played by their voice actor in live action.
Yeah, works for me. Actually, no, that doesn't work for me. Just him.
We need Sam Witwer to do all the live action portrayals of Emperor Palpatine from now on.
I'm kind of shocked Sam Witwer hasn't made it into the MCU yet.
Is he not in any form? Like just like a cameo somewhere?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. There were a few people
who
who
is like a voice talent or on
just
the animated
anything.
shows?
Yeah, just anything. There's also I was just thinking about people who I'm surprised aren't in the MCU. He was one. Will Arnett, that was one I was really surprised. He hasn't been in it yet. Because he wants to be too.
I would be surprised if he was in it, but I'm not really surprised anyone's not in it yet.
Fair enough.
Unless there's people who are like super closely associated with it, that like those people I'd be surprised. But I don't know that I'd be surprised by anyone else not being in it.
Mm-hmm.
Who would that even include? Stan Lee hasn't been in a couple Marvel movies recently. What's he been up to?
What's up with Kanye? He was supposed to be in a Marvel movie.
God.
Oh, that reminds me. I saw this really funny tweet. You know how it's like Spotify Wrapped season? Everyone's posting their like top songs. Someone wrote, posting, "Wow, pretty problematic under every single person's Spotify Wrapped," and then responding, "It's not my job to educate you," when they ask what I mean by that. Yeah, so
it's hard to find a band that wouldn't count for that.
It's true.
Like Arcade Fire this year, they're not.
Oh yeah, fuck! I forgot about
that. Fleetwood Mac now.
Rest in peace.
The rest of them got together and murdered Christine McVie.
I wouldn't be that surprised based on what I've heard about them when they start touring. That's why I knew I had to see them in Halifax when they started their tour on the East Coast, because it's like they're going to actually
make it to the West Coast.
And they didn't make it any further. No. I was like, this is a rare opportunity. And then of course they didn't make it the whole way.
Yeah. I mean, whenever Lindsey Buckingham leaves, they have to replace him with two other guitarists. That's how good that man is. Would never want to spend any time with him. Seems unbearable, but fantastic.
Sick at guitar. Yeah, sick at guitar.
I feel so sorry for his wife.
Yeah. It seems all just so toxic. A little less toxic now, maybe, but
All right. Well, speaking of toxic, thank you all for listening. We're gonna go play some Mario Kart on X2. So that'll be live in about half an hour. Thank you for your questions. Next week we will not be doing an episode because I will be gone. The week after that, what are we doing?
I don't know. I gotta think about it.
All right, Dark Journey.
Maybe. I don't know.
We'll keep you posted. Thanks again for watching. What is the worst part of Canada? Niagara Falls. Easy. Goodbye.
I was conceived at Niagara Falls. That's true.
Like behind the falls themselves, on the Maid of the Mist.
I think at a dirty hotel there.
Oh,
I mean,
that's all.
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. My dad said it was a hotel there, and I don't know why he told me that. And I assume every hotel in Niagara Falls is dirty. So
I've never asked. No, there's some nice ones. Like
okay.
people come there for family vacations.
My
and fun
dad
times.
came there. That's what I just said.